All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new episode. The title of this episode is called Healing. So we're going to be talking about healing today. And as part of this exploration, we look at a quote from a Unity minister who said, healing is education. And that certainly resonates with metaphysical science. In 1962 seminar, Mrs. Laird said, when we inform ourselves with spiritual facts, we are whole. There is nothing going on that we can change. Human beings observing their language view invariably go about trying to fix things by changing the concept, changing the picture. And this is an exercise in futility. And if you've listened to our past episodes, you'll get where we're coming from with that. So the practice of metaphysics, scientific metaphysics, is nonverbal. It's not meditation in the common usage of the phrase thinking about. Science meditation is thinking without subject or object. It's simply being. In other words, the metaphysics of science is spiritual sense or consciousness forming all things out of spirit, the stuff of mind. And that's taken right out of government, is self-government. So welcome, Betty. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Excellent. Anything you want to add to why we are talking about healing and kind of, give us a little overview in your sense of the importance of this particular topic tonight?
Yeah, we've talked about that we live and move and have being mentally and always have. When you talk about the subject of healing or physical well-being in your human living, very few people really reckon with the fact that it's an educational topic you're talking about, because who I see myself to be and how I see my world as being makes all the difference in the way it occurs for me. Who I'm being makes all the difference in how I feel and how I look and what I do. And the subject of healing puts that front and foremost in the discussion, because without that, you're playing around with recipes and symptoms and stuff that changes the picture, but that's not healing. That's fussing with symptoms. That's trying to fix something. And the something that you want to fix, you're fixing in an area where it doesn't occur. Healing does not occur in the picture you're looking at. When something goes haywire in your life, when you don't feel well or when you have a problem coming along and you want to do something about it, in the study of scientific metaphysics, you look first at who am I being? Do I think I'm a two-legged animal struggling to make things come together and have everything work out fine and be able to smile? Or do I see that man in scientific metaphysics is defined as the expression of God's being? If I'm functioning from standing in the expression of God's being, I don't have to rush around and fix anything. What in the world could I improve in God's being? What in the world would I want to change in God's being? So really and truly, I want to shut down the belief that Betty's the all-important thing in my life and realize that being myself fully is the important thing. It has Betty be okay, but it has me running the show instead of Betty.
Right. And when you talk about being myself fully, you're not talking about Betty and your sense of Betty.
Right. I'm talking about the expression of God's being. What would that look like?
Right. Very good. All right. So to back up just a little bit and let you know who sponsors the Rethink Life YouTube series, and that is the Institute of Metaphysical Science. Established in 1959 as the Margaret Laird Foundation, researching, exploring, living, and teaching the science of being and the causal nature of consciousness. Website is at scientificmetaphysics.org. And for those of you who may not know or are just joining us, we are basing our talks right now off of Government is Self-Government, a book written by Margaret Laird. And it's really quite excellent. And we find it completely relevant for what is going on today and what we see going on. And so that is what we are using. So our topic is healing. If you are enjoying the topic or you like the topic, you like the conversation, we would love thumbs up and hearts and all that kind of stuff. So please do that. And if you have any questions, anything that you have going on or comments or whatever, please put them up in the comments. Just type them and they will come through here. And if we're live, we will actually put them up. And if you have any questions, take those up. So without any further ado, let's jump in. On page 98, Mrs. Laird, in her book, Government is Self-Government, wrote, "The metaphysician lives his coming and going as mind, his very own self-expanding consciousness."
Yeah.
Anything more you want to say about that?
Yeah. It being the reflection or the likeness of the God idea isn't something I decide to do as a physical exercise. It's Betty. It's something that I am willing to take a look at, because if man is the expression of God's being, the image and likeness of God, if you will, then it means the action of God is man. So when you're the action of God, the responsibility for what that looks like is not resting with Betty. It's resting with its source. And the expression of that source is running around calling itself Betty. So if I relax into that fact, life takes on a whole different dimension in living.
Yeah, would that be it's not personal? At
Yes.
the point that you relax, I like how you put that, relax into that fact, makes it seem like, okay, relax into that fact, then I'm not taking everything personally.
Right.
It's not about Betty, it's not about Kim, it's not about, all that. It's consciousness, being itself being.
And it's natural being.
Yeah.
It's not a bunch of efforting, it's not a struggle.
Right.
But it's a willingness. It's really a willingness.
Right. I was going to say that the left turn that I want people to avoid is, okay, there's nothing I need to do.
That's right.
I know. But there's
but
nothing I need to do leaves you sitting still, just boom. And the fact is that you'll do whatever you do. I mean, I'm brought back to before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. And so the mistake is to think, well, you get what I'm saying with this, don't you?
Yes, you're trying to say that if you have Kim running the show, you're in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you run the show, and Kim is not you, Kim is the label you use to run around and play the game.
Right.
Who you're being is the divinity that shapes your ends.
Right. So the actions I take, whatever I do, is just the actions I take, whatever I do. And they would just be a natural thing. There wouldn't be a Kim going, oh, no, I don't need to do anything.
No, then you're handling Kim.
Right.
Nothing to do with you.
Exactly. So being present and being,
it's consciously aware.
Yeah.
If I'm aware that Betty really doesn't run the show, I don't worry so much about what Betty's up to.
Right.
She's just along for the ride.
Right. So the quote, the metaphysician lives his coming and going as mind, his very own self-expanding consciousness.
Right.
So each of us, that is so.
Mm-hmm.
And in Science and Health on page 302, line 14, Mary Baker Eddy said it this way: She said, let us remember that harmonious and immortal man has existed forever and is always beyond and above the mortal illusion of any life, substance, and intelligence as existent in matter or language.
Yep.
So pretty clear based on what we've already talked about. Anything you want to add to what we've said so far?
Nope, that's good.
Okay. And if any of you have any questions or comments, please feel free to write those in the comments box. It'll be a little delayed, but we would love to hear from you. Okay, then, Betty, in your book, Mind is the Athlete, on page 38, you wrote, every frontier conquered speaks to a capacity for innovation and genius present, challenged to go beyond what's possible and venture into areas never before explored. I feel like I'm in Star Trek, to go beyond. But at any rate,
well, you should, because you should be able to imagine way beyond what Kim's into.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
It's outside of the usual venue for Betty.
Right.
It's allowing that to be, but looking much further.
Right.
Yeah.
And looking beyond anything that we could see, hear, feel, taste, touch today, whatever we're looking at, like even if we're thinking, wringing our hands going, oh my God, what the heck is going on in this world today? You could be looking at it any number of ways, but the fact is that you're living, you're coming and going as mind, your very own self-expanding consciousness, the only way you can see it.
Yeah, and I would like to add something in here because of the current news going on in on the television and stuff, you know, with Roe versus Wade and reversed and all that stuff. And what it does is gives you a little freedom, a little leeway, because when that occurs and you think, oh my gosh, how terrible is that? They're trying to restrict my freedom. You can look at it that way, and Betty could get really concerned over all that stuff. But when you look beyond that, you can see that there is a principle functioning called the world I walk through. And it functions as I function. And I function when I'm with it, when I'm behaving myself. I function as the reflection of the God idea. And the reflection of the God idea doesn't know anything about Roe versus Wade. And it's totally free. And living in that space allows the solution to appear that allows me to continue to be free.
And to know what'll emerge right there is what's the right action.
Well,
for your own intuitive being, it will show up as your solution, as the solution that's right for you.
That's right. I'll find that I'm in no way impeded at all. I'm free as a breeze.
Right. Well, it must be bear repeating that you're not really of childbearing age, so it really doesn't impact you.
But I have children that might be.
No, you don't. So, but I will say that it is this whole notion of that. And what that brings up is a wake-up call. In my book, what's happening is a wake-up call. It's like, you know, and
it's an attack on the freedom of women to be themselves.
Exactly. A wake-up call, you know. And I remember in Facebook, after I posted, I'll just share this. I posted something, this person posted back and said, well, it's both women and, you know, female and male who are, you know, are in favor of the way that it has always been, or it has been for the last 50 years. And can you believe that our, you know, this is what they call, and they're supposed to be our leaders. And I said, well, I go, no, I don't buy that. They are our representatives. We, each of us, are leaders of our own self-sovereign identity, our own self, and government is self-government. And if we abdicate our leadership and we don't hold those that we vote in responsible or to represent us, then what we get is what we get until we get that wake-up call.
Yeah, and when you get into the study of metaphysics, you recognize that beyond the male and the female, is the allness of being.
Yeah.
And in that sense, if I'm one, I'm the other. So I am my own male, female.
Right.
And what affects one affects all.
Right.
So it's a universal presence.
Yes. Yeah. I would get that. Let's see. 10. Where did 10 go?
Page 93.
I had it in here and it's gone. Okay, well, hang on a minute. Let me look at that. So on page 93, Mrs. Laird wrote, to be health, wealth, and joy-minded, I must live my I self-consciously as mind, as thought, and not as material personality.
Yeah.
So that's page 93.
Yeah, nothing exists outside of mind, outside of consciousness.
Yeah.
Everything is infinite mind manifest.
So if I've got something going on, if I've got a sore throat or I've got something even more pressing on the, in my own situation, it's really a challenge to acknowledge the facts and be willing to have the look be what it is, but acknowledge the facts present rather than buying into the picture of what's showing up.
Well, or assuming that the picture is what you're thinking about. If I'm feeling threatened with a cold or with a broken toe or with missing an appointment or whatever you want to name for a challenge or problem, I tend to look at Betty like there was something she should have done about it.
Right. Like, what did I not do right?
Yeah. And instead of doing that, what you do is step back for a minute and say, now, wait a minute. This is a wake-up call. This is a nudge saying who you're being, where you're standing, what's true. And the minute I get myself trued up to the fact that I live and move and have being reflectively as the image and likeness of the God idea, then I relax and say, oh, well, fine, all is well. And then I find out that the answer for the Betty picture turns right up.
Right.
And
it's the no attention on the Betty picture. It's the curiosity. It's fueled by that curiosity. It's not like, oh, woe is me. Why does this always happen to me, oh Lord? It's more, so this is the hat God's wearing today. Well, why would that, what's that about? And there's a curiosity, but in that curiosity is a complete willingness to allow it to be just the way it is, no matter what I happen to think about it.
Yeah, and the willingness is even further than that, is already an acceptance.
Okay.
Because you aren't curious about something that doesn't exist.
Right.
What you're curious about is already there.
Right.
Yeah,
very
just
good.
What's possible.
But I see that pointing out that that the curiosity for me, there's acceptance, but it's a different engagement with the situation than Kim efforting and struggling about some way it looks that I don't particularly like.
Yeah, it's a it just went right through me. but it's like an immediate awareness that there's something else to look at.
Yeah.
There's another word for that, and I can't come up with it at the moment. But, when you are upset, it means you've got Kim on your mind and she's in a problem and oh dear.
Right.
But when the curiosity comes up, when the willingness to look beyond comes up, you're already stepping aside from the Kim and being yourself.
Right.
And there is the answer right there.
Correct.
And it doesn't take but a second, just a snap of a finger.
Right.
and everything shifts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And Mary Baker Eddy in Science and Health put it this way on page 303, starting on line 1. She wrote, the reflection is controlled by mind, the principle governing the reflection. And the note on this is God, without the image and likeness of himself, would be a non-entity or mind unexpressed.
Yeah. So there's a oneness to the God idea and the expression of that.
Mm-hmm.
And the oneness is that without one, the other doesn't exist. Without the other, the one doesn't exist.
Right.
So there's a requirement for it to be a whole being present.
Yeah. Very good. Okay, cool. Now, again, any of you have any questions, comments, anything like that, type those in. They will come across and we'll be able to talk about those. Okay. So on page 93 in Government is Self-Government, Mrs. Laird wrote, or no, she wrote that. And on page 39, sorry, not 93, 39, and Mind is the Athlete, Betty, you wrote, our self beyond the ego image manifests as successive views of a reality not fully seen.
Yep.
The acknowledgement of this has the frailties of being human dissolve into strength and purpose.
Yep.
So say more about that. So our self beyond the ego, or beyond the ego image, manifests as successive views of reality. That's the right now, right now, right now, right
That's
now.
the
right
reflective
now.
presence.
Right now. Always new. Right now, right now. Okay. And the acknowledgement of that has the frailties of being human dissolve into strength and purpose.
Mm-hmm. Makes it look like everything's in order in your daily life.
Mm-hmm.
So it's expressed in a language that you can understand and appreciate.
Okay.
It isn't left up in the ether somewhere.
Right. It's right here in your face.
Very practical. Yeah.
Whether you like it or not, there it is. Right there. That's what we're talking about. Okay. And then on page 95, Government is Self-Government, Mrs. Laird writes, the apprehension or discernment of the truth of being is spirit, disposes of superstitious religious theories, the old God concept, in the same way light disposes of darkness.
Yeah, and you got to appreciate that light doesn't do anything about darkness. Doesn't run around and chase it, doesn't try to fix it. It just be's light. And when light is present, darkness is not.
Yes.
And that's the same thing.
Very good. It's a neat way to think about that.
Yep.
And in Science and Health on page 323-32, over to the new page, willingness, Mary Baker Eddy wrote, willingness to become as a little child and to leave the old for the new renders thought receptive to the advanced idea. Is she getting at the whole concept of beginner mind?
Say that again.
Is she getting at the whole concept of beginner's mind? Do you know, if you come with an expert mind, you know it all, you know what this is, you have your judgments, whatever. But the thought of a child. So she says, willingness to become as a little child and to leave the old for the new is that beginner's mind, that wonder, that willingness, that wonder, the curiosity. That's really what she's getting at with that.
Well, also, the child mind operates at the level of right is present now.
Yeah.
I just have to look, say, oh, okay.
Right. Okay.
I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to dig ditches and labor over it.
Yeah.
I just have to say, oh, I have to be willing to look there.
Right. Okay.
You know, every time I talk about something like that, I think about the guy that lost his keys in the dark and he was over searching madly underneath the streetlight. And the policeman came along and said, what's going on, buddy? He says, I lost my keys. I can't find them. And the policeman said, did you lose them right here? He said, no, I lost them over there, but the light's over here.
Nice. All right. And then in your book on page 43, you say it like this: your divinity shapes your humanity at all times. When you are consciously aware, your human living is enhanced.
Yeah.
It's almost like an ease, an effortlessness to living.
When you're struggling, you're agitating the problem.
Right.
And you know that you're stuck in your head somewhere.
Yeah. So struggling, if it appears that way, or worry and all that kind of fidget, that means that you've just got to let it be.
It's a wake-up call saying, hey, let go.
Right. Let go and start getting some curiosity and some willingness going.
And look beyond what you think is present.
Yeah.
Somewhere there's peace and joy and power, and that's where you can live.
Right. Right.
If I'm the reflective presence of the God idea, I never have anything but peace and joy and power.
Right.
And I could go on with a long list of those things.
Right. Exactly. So as we wrap this all up and we bring it all the way back around to healing, what would you like to leave people with around the subject?
I really would like to have at least the curiosity piqued to consider that when a problem arises in your life that challenges you, it could have to do with who you're being, what you're believing, and what you're up to, forgetting that you are not living and moving and having being as that two-legged thing that you look like in the mirror, but that there is a divinity that shapes our ends. Look there. When I'm at one with that, all is well.
Really good. So there you go. That's your homework. All right. Now there's one more thing that I want to have a conversation with you about, and that is you have an upcoming intensive class that you've been hard at work reformulating and putting together that's going to be available in October. And in that October time frame, and the dates are October
the 28th,
the 24th to the 28th, and it's actually going to be in La Jolla in San Diego.
In person.
And that's limited to 6 to 8 people. And
8 people.
8 people. Okay. And we've already got a bunch registered. So it's going to fill up. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take this moment to have you share just a little bit about what's going to happen in this course. What's the purpose of it? And what are you kind of excited about in your looking at some of it? Like, just give me a snippet, a snapshot,
Well, the class instruction is kind of very basic, fundamental scientific metaphysics.
You're making it sound really dull. I'm just going to say. So
yeah, but it is exciting to find out that all the stuff you've assumed about yourself is really a lot of assumption about the look of you rather than the being of you.
Yeah.
We consider from a very basic beginning. We discuss at great length the God idea and what that's all about. And we discuss at great length man and what we think that is and what it really is and what else could it be. And then we discuss the language look, the Betty, the Kim, the Harry, the James, all those people, all the language world. And we discover that each one of us has a unique language world he walks through. And everything that goes on with him
or her
shows up in his language world. No
or her.
So but it's a basic instructional time, really 5 days, and a lot of homework, not a simple course, but it gets you to consider the fundamentals that have to do with who you are, what it's all about, and the possibilities that you haven't even begun to explore.
Okay, now let me ask you this. So say somebody takes aside the week, gets that time available for themselves, and they come and they participate fully and they do all the homework and they're right there with this group of 8 people where you're really looking at this stuff and dissecting it and looking into it and all of that, which, by the way, is fabulous as an experience. What will be possible? What will open up in people's lives out of participating in this intensive program?
Well, if you take it on, what opens up for you is being in charge of your own experience of living. and being able to free yourself up from all the stuff that pops up every day, saying, no, you can't do that. That's not going to work. Oh, look what's happening now. You're doomed.
Mm-hmm.
The stock market crashed. Oh my God, you're going to be a mess. You won't have enough money to live on. Or, the pandemic came along and wiped me out, that kind of stuff. You have an opportunity to be in the driver's seat on how you live all of the stuff that pops up every day in human living.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. And I would say that there's also something to learning from someone who has been a student of science for almost 80 years.
Well, more than that, I started Sunday school when I was 2.
I know, but in terms of being a real student of science, it's about 80 years. And so there's something really powerful and magical about learning from someone who's literally seen it all, and really has the depth of background and study and experience to assemble and lead this program. So I bring it up only because, it's in October. If it sounds interesting to you, you can go out to the site, scientificmetaphysics.org. I believe there's probably a link right off the homepage. You can get more information. And if it's something that speaks to you, you can sign up and attend. And it would be a lot of fun to have you. Once it's full, and it will close. So again, 8 spots. As soon as it's full, that's it. All right. Anything else you want to say on that?
No, I'd love to see them all, but I can't see 8 right now.
Excellent. So that's where we are. So next week we will be here, same bat channel, same bat time, and we'll see you then. 5:00 Pacific, 7 p.m. Central. And in the meantime, catch yourself, get curious, be willing, and see what opens up for yourself in your life. This is exciting stuff. All right. And until next time, we'll see you then.